No, not all the messages Redacted sent, Sinder knew of and approved of. And I am going to try to convince you of this narrative. This video will have chapters, and everything I'll be covering in the video has already been covered by some big content creator out there on the wild YouTube servers. I'm just bringing attention to the point that not all the messages Redacted sent, Sinder knew of and approved of. As you can tell, this is going to be extremely heavily, thoroughly biased because I'll be injecting my own personal opinion regarding this. It all starts when Nano drops a Google Doc on X, putting forth allegations against Sinder on April 26, 2025. In the third paragraph of the section Introduction and Notes, she states, based on working with Redacted and Sinder over the years, that I am sure they speak for each other and there is no reason to believe Red was acting without Sinder's consent and knowledge. Whenever I use they or them, it refers to both of them acting as a team. Bao also covers this in her Google Doc, stating, before I start, I want to point out why I am addressing both Sinder and Redacted, despite the messages being largely from Redacted. Many times throughout the messages, the words we, we're, our occur numerous times. As someone who was close to and worked with Sinder for years, I have first-hand experience on how Sinder and Red collaborate and the extent to which Red operates as her primary point of contact in her professional and personal projects. It is that experience that leads me to believe that all requests and messages sent by Red were both known about and approved of by Sinder. Now, here's where things go awry. Bao makes the absolute assertion that all the messages and requests that Redacted sent out, Sinder knew of and approved of. And that is blatantly false. Just because you worked with someone for years and years doesn't mean that you, beyond a reason of a doubt, or certainty, know that all the messages Redacted sent out, Sinder knew of and approved of. Unless there is irrefutable factual evidence regarding this, that is just a heavy assumption based off experience. Now, I asked Google, hey, do managers and talents tell each other everything? And Google says, no, managers and talents do not typically tell each other absolutely everything. While a relationship of trust and open communication is essential for effective talent management, there are boundaries and certain information that may be kept confidential or not shared. Now, there is evidence out there, and even Sinder admitted this, that Sinder and Redacted are lovers. She even admits this in her apology doc, stating, Redacted has been my co-content creator since I began making content, managing all aspects of what I do, and being a major part of why I'm here. We have also been in a relationship since the start of my endeavors. So yeah, they're lovers. So then I asked Google, hey, do lovers tell each other everything? No, lovers don't necessarily tell each other everything. While open communication is crucial for intimacy, individuals in a relationship often have areas of their lives they prefer to keep private. There's a distinction between healthy privacy and secrecy that can be damaging to a relationship. Now, that we have established that lovers don't tell each other everything, and managers and talents don't tell each other everything, let's dive into Sinder's apology Google Doc, where she addresses the claims that she knew everything that Redacted was saying. So, in the second paragraph of Sinder's apology doc, she first starts off by saying, in regards to Nano, for the majority of the time working with her, Red was the one almost solely doing the communication about new plans and negotiations through his private DMs. That just shows that Nano and Redacted talked a lot with each other regarding projects and stuff. Now, further on in the paragraph, she states, she was not fully aware of the extent of Red's manipulation over Nano's commission decisions, and I should have been more diligent in my oversight. This right here is proof that talents and managers don't tell each other everything, because although Sinder was aware, she was not fully aware of the extent of Red's manipulation. She even admits here that she should have been more diligent in her oversight, so she takes accountability for that. Now, moving on in the paragraph, she goes on to talk about the exclusivity deal, stating, regarding the exclusivity deal made between them, I had no part in the direct negotiations of their eventual agreement, and I had no knowledge of Bao and Condone being included in this list. If I had known my friends were included, I would have said something to put a stop to it. I was only aware of it being about one person who I was unfairly pursuing. Again, this reinforces the claim that talents and managers don't tell each other everything. Because she didn't even know that Bao and Condone were part of the terms and conditions of the exclusivity deal that Redacted is trying to give to Nano. So, if Sinder didn't know about these messages, how could she approve them? Moving on in the Google Doc, she also brings up that she was never aware that Nano was ever planning to work on a model for another of her friends, Giri, which, by the way, is in Nano's doc. So in Nano's doc on page 21, all the way there, you can see in this screenshot here with Redacted on November 19th, 2023, 4:50 p.m., Redacted says, well, let's see if blank wants a Nano model or not, and hope blank finds someone else. Now, if you want to know where Giri fits into this screenshot, feel free to check out Silverveil's Google Doc, because her screenshot isn't censored. You can see Redacted saying, well, let's see if Giri wants a Nano model or not. Now, this is only shown in the private DMs of Redacted and Nano. So, going back to the apology doc, she goes on to state, I do not condone anything about what Red said about Bao in these DMs either, and him using we and our in this context is abhorrently incorrect, and I believe this was done to gain greater credibility behind what he was saying. So, she does not condone what Red said. She doesn't approve of it. She didn't even know these messages happened, according to the apology doc. And again, if she didn't know about these messages, how could she approve of them? Now, going further into this paragraph, she goes on to state, Redacted was very passionate about Boss Rush and the potential future projects around it, but Redacted told Sinder, without an MV editor as talented as Sack, the future projects wouldn't reach the same heights, so he created this headcanon that's laid out in those DMs. Sinder wasn't convinced this was the case, but it's Sinder's fault for never speaking with Bao about these things directly to clear things up, and letting it spiral to the point it got to. Every comment here about our own music guilt-tripping and claims about our shared feelings towards her are disgusting, and Sinder honestly doesn't know why Redacted thought this way about her close friend beyond the resentment over those two things, or why it was worth sabotaging Bao over. Now, the two things she's talking about is here. When Sackramore decided to work exclusively for Bao, and when Bao hired their editor. Those were the two instances she's talking about regarding the resentment deal. But this shows further proof that she didn't know about the messages Redacted sent out. And apparently, if she knew, based on her reaction, she wouldn't have approved of them. So, with that being said, no, not all the messages Redacted sent were known about and approved of by Sinder. And with that being said, all the sources I used for this video will be in the description below. I encourage you, the viewer, to go to the source, so that way you yourself can come to your own independent conclusion.